generally we kept very good health, apart from various dystonia. I've no brains, but I'm quite lucky health-wise. During that time,
definitely no me anyway.
During the last 50 years, there's been a lot of happy times and there's been a lot of sad. Another rounds, disagreements, and
I think they're called children.
no, I'm not taking the fault for that. And it's certainly grumpy old me, but I had a wee smile on my face the other week with Eve, who's now falling asleep. But she's quite astute on the tablet, and she was showing Grandad how to play games. And she said, "Good job, Grandad." And I says to her, "Am I a smarty pants?" She says, "No, that's Granny, she's a smarty pants." "You're happy face," she said. She's cheered me up in the end, and she still called me happy face, so somebody thinks I'm a happy person. It's strange over the years that how some things don't change and other things do. I mean, I was always a Hearts fanatic, like some of my others in my family, and the baby got engaged. Mary went to Tynecastle, and she never went back till the Hearts, that was in 1964, and she never went back till 1998 until they won something, the Cups, so people in Toronto went to anything else, and I've made up for it since then, to be fair. Another thing that is the Hills, really, and the Hills have been a real part of my life. Since I got married, I'll come to that. But I've enjoyed going to the Hills, and it's a lot of people I've met here, I've met them in the Hills, and I've got to say, this must generally among me, with a few exceptions that I drink with, are the slimmest old people that's ever been there. Going when and going, rather than you. In 1965, we hardly had any money, I've got to say, in the years thereafter. And I wanted to pay a special compliment, and you'll not be expecting this, to Jake here. As before I met you, Arvo, by the way, because he used to be very, very kind to the kids, very generous, and and bringing things to the fire and all that, we did the very important. So I'd like to thank Jake. In these days, there was no colour TV, there was no internet, there's no mobiles, there's still no any of my mobiles. Joe especially. But, and there was no GPS, which would certainly suit a problem. Because it needs the things. In these old times, I maybe should say that I did meet Mary at the Raith in 1965, and it was the day after President Kennedy was assassinated. So there were two disasters for Mary in 2 days. I could see her still, and she actually told me today, it was a dress she'd made. She was wearing a red dress with white strips in the front, no specs. Because I wouldn't have danced with her if she'd had specs. You know, that's how young folk are, to be quite honest. And small things like that is strange. I mean, I'm not religious, but I like to believe in fate strangely enough, and I think maybe that was fate that night. And I did write, I've always thought in a wider way that, and I wrote this just to show I could be romantic in the past. And then I actually wrote this, and I think it still sounds quite good. I saw it in something the other day. Just 2 grains of sand on a windswept beach, what were the chances that would be? Like falling stars across the skies, and then one's universe in which to fly. So, I was quite romantic these days. And the funny thing, Margaret was probably surprised at this. The dance I took Mary up for was the Gay Gordon. And I never stood on her feet, Margaret. I didn't. And there's a bit different connotation to Gay Gordon these days than when men dance with women exclusively in these days. And Lady's Choice in Kirkcaldy, Jake will remember, was called the grab. If you got the grab, you were made.
Before my time,
But the funny thing I think maybe impressed Mary a bit was I was learning to drive in one car because my previous girlfriend chucked me. I used the money to buy a car. So, anyway, I'd arranged for George Watson. Sadly, George is gone. He was a good friend of mine. He looked after me because I was a policeman in Bulgaria when I was a young guy. To come down with my car and take me home that night. So it was quite a posh car, an 855 KES 144, so remain still was. Here's my chauffeur, the driver up to the station, and I think she must have been impressed with the chauffeur there. I've got to see her pass my test that week, so I was able to pick her up myself the next weekend. And I'll just briefly mention her honeymoon, and I'm sure most of my women friends have heard this one from me before. We went to Abbey Moor, and it wasn't just starting to develop at that time, but there was a chairlift. It was the 1st of September 1965, and we went to the top, and it started to snow at the top on the 1st of September. I turned joking with the Mary and said, "This coming up hills and snows better than a honeymoon." And I never went down too well, yeah. But when I said it, I never ever thought that actually that would change my life because I'd gone up there. And as I said earlier, that day I went to was starting to go to the hills. We had many great times in the hills. I did find this wee joke, which I thought was quite funny, I hope it's still funny. On the net, I was looking at weddings. There was a Highland wedding in a pub. And the photographer said, "Would all the married men stand next to the person who has made your life worth living?" And the bartender was crushed in the rush. I've got to say that the sad times, there have been sad times the last 15 years, and I'm sure I speak for the two brothers here, that Brother Ken died, because I think he was the gentleman that I was very sad that he died. So we're going in really. And I've never forgiven the fact that I was a brother when he died, but that's another subject really. I'm happy to see Lorraine here from America. She's come in, and I'm really a pity that her couldn't come for present business reasons. And I'm very pleased to see Catherine here after all these years. I haven't met George. George is the only person that I haven't met this day.
I think you met him once donkeys years ago.
Oh, I met him, he's feeling after all, man. And I'm also delighted to see the kids here. You're going to smile, Karen, for me. Because they are, the wife's your wife, the two of them, and they're all at work. Mary looks after the wee one especially, but they do make me laugh. I'd like to thank Mary very much for the last 50 years of looking after me through thick and thin. And I'm asking her to continue with her talents. Not what you expect. Knitting, cross stitch, Zumba and jigsaws. And since we've got the extension at the back, she sits through there doing jigsaws. And she was struggling with one night. And I went through and she says, "This is really hard." And I had a quick look at it. And she sat there and she says, "What's on the box?" She says, "A cockerel." So I says, "Oh, that's all right, just take it easy." And I put the cornflakes back in the pocket. Anyway, you reach this age, you always forgetful and craft moments, as I call them. Mary had one this morning, for the first time I got a purse when we went to the shops. We were on the stairs, so I'll warn you that it didn't bother about it too much. But I'm no upsetting, I don't suffer what's the name of it. In fact, I can't remember the last time I forgot something. Anyway, Mary, you can't have done too bad with me because you've had any grey hair that's 71. And I've none, so. But anyway, you've probably heard me speaking long enough, and I would just like to propose a toast to Mary. Thanks for everything you've done for me. get slagged next, I'm not sure I'm not.
I know this usually 3 times the size of mine.
What are you talking about?
Look at the size of the
Again, I'm blind.
It's off.
Hello
Started it
everyone,
again.
welcome to Jim and Mary's 50th anniversary celebrations, and a special welcome of course to the little lady all the way from Atlanta, who could also add Avril and Jake that knew many years ago, had good times, delighted to see you as well. Could I first of all state that I'm making this speech under a considerable handicap. I'm sober. Before I begin, I want you to know that my wife Jenny, for 52 and a half years, has told me, don't attempt to be witty, humorous, or intellectual. In fact, just be yourself. I've also been told no blubbering, but it's hard to be emotional or nostalgic at my age when you can't remember anything. Some of you here this evening who have never seen me before probably think Jim and I look similar. Heaven knows why. He once said to me, and he remembered a wee while ago, we look like 2 clones, but Brother Lindsay was there too, and immediately I did no, 2 clowns. That was true, wasn't it?
That's true, yeah.
In fact, I was always better looking, more intelligent, a better football player, a better golfer. I could go on. In fact, were you good at anything?
Hello.
Now, back to the wedding of 50 years ago today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Today. The date was the 28th of August 1965 for those who can count. That's just before England won the World Cup, by the way, I'm sure you'll know. It was at Cooper Parish Church, and they met at the Wraith Ballroom, as Jim said. The best man was not me, obviously, it was Ken, who sadly died over 20 years ago. The bridesmaid was Catherine, who's here today, Mary's friend. I don't think I've seen you since then, is that right?
No, I met you off the bus.
50 years today.
I met you off the bus. You got the bus up to
The
Cooper.
parents, both sets of parents, are no longer with us, though incredibly, Mary's mother only died last year, nearly 99, is that right? Their children, of course, were lovely Lorraine and Alan. Lorraine, as I said, is all the way from Atlanta. Her husband, Howard, couldn't make it, unfortunately, because of business trip. Alan married the lovely Shona and their 2 lovely little girls, Lucy and Karen, here today. Mary worked in the Fife County Council auditors, was it, in Cooper, and Jim was a young policeman. Aberdare? No.
I don't know what girl is thinking.
Yeah. They lived briefly in Aberdare before moving to Glenrothes. Mary's a brother, Billy in Canada, and a sister, Dorothy, who unfortunately can't be here tonight. So what have Jim and Mary done in 50 years? Jim, of course, as he's mentioned, spends a lot of his time walking, climbing, trekking with his many friends, including Robin over there, who writes regularly in the Scotsman magazine. 10 times you've completed the road, is it? And are you 4 or 5?
Aye. I stopped living.
One little correction, Robin. Obviously, you must have heard us talking about Jimbo many years ago. His nickname for his brother was Dimbo.
Right.
So I'll expect to see that.
Dimbo. Done. Misprint in the Scotsman.
Jim, you can correct me about it. Jim also for many years was the coordinator for the Forth and Tay Disabled Ramblers Association, though I believe you've given that up now.
Arthur's
Like all intelligent wilies of every generation, he's been a devoted jambo. And that certainly, as he said, in the last 50 years had some wonderful and some very sad occasions. Mary, of course, loves helping with her 2 lovely granddaughters, Cara and Maeve. In fact, over the phone last week she said they were absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And she also explained in detail Zumba Go and described it. I wonder if it's as interesting as it sounds. Like Jenny and I, Mary and Jim loved our foreign holidays. My best pal calls me Marco Polo. In fact, Mary and Jim are off to China and Tibet in September the 5th for 3 weeks. Jim, however, can be unlucky sometimes. He's twice been helicoptered out of Nepal, twice. Dysentery, was it one time?
More or less, yeah.
You're getting too old for this. Jim, of course, like my other brothers, unlike me, Ken Lizzie, were in the police for many years. In fact, Jenny and I were at his retirement as Secretary of the Scottish Police Federation over 20 years ago in a lovely hotel in Brentford. On checking in, I'm John, Mr. and Mrs. J. Wiley, who are given this incredible executive suite. I'm going to make this up. A fabulous jacuzzi, free decanters of port and wine, of course I love port. A huge four-poster bed, absolutely amazing. Then, the rest of the wonderful evening, unlimited free food and drink. I don't know if it's ex-Federation, police here or that, but that's what you're paying for. On checking out the next day at the same time as Jim and Mary, we discovered that it was that Mr. and Mrs. G. Wiley. There is a God. So unlucky, Jim. In fact, Jim is so unlucky sometimes, even if he were to be reincarnated, I think he'd come back as himself. Now, a wee bit of advice, not that much to go. Being the age Jim and I are, and now married for 50 or 52 and a half years, we are both in a rare position to pass on our wisdom about women, age and marriage. As far as age goes, now we get lucky when we find our car in the car park. When an all-nighter means not having to get up for a pee. When our secrets are safe with our friends, because they can't remember mine. And when a gorgeous young woman catches your attention and your pacemaker opens the garage door. And what advice on marriage and women? Well, you can see what marriage has done for us. Years of sorrow and of care have made our heads come through our hair. Zsa Gabor once said, a man in love is incomplete until he's married, then he's finished. And also remember, Jim, a yawn is a useful thing. It's nature's way of letting a husband know that he's not. Once I got so fed up of Jenny's moods, I'd read about these new mood rings, so that I could perhaps monitor her moods. I discovered that when she was in a good mood, it turned green. And when she was in a bad mood, it leaves a bloody red mark on my floor. Jenny and I were recently at a wedding in Aberfeldy, and I really admired the groom's kilt. So I asked him later on, what was the tartan? To which he replied, the one in the wedding gown. Last page, you'll be glad to know. I said this at our wedding. Albert Einstein, absolutely true, is one of the most intelligent men ever, was asked on his 50th anniversary, to what do you attribute the success of your marriage? Professor Einstein offered this profound response. When we first got married, we made a pact that in our life together, it was decided I would make all the big decisions in our marriage and my wife would make all the little. For 50 years we held true to that agreement, and that has led to the success of our marriage. The strange thing, though, is that in the 50 years, there's not been one big decision. Marriage has always been, and still remains, the most popular way of living in all civilizations. Martin Luther wrote over 500 years ago, there is no more lovely, friendly and charming relationship, communion or company than a good marriage. So can I ask you to raise your glasses and join me in a toast of health and happy, Jim and Mary. Cheers. Thank you.
lunch now. Great to see Jake, my other dad. Yeah, the red hair came from somewhere, Jake. It's been a lovely meal and the staff have been great. I'd like to say thanks to the staff as well at Bulgari. Hope you all have a good night. Don't get too drunk. 50 years is certainly a long time to spend with one person and a milestone that should be celebrated. So I'm very glad we said they were going to have this dinner. And when you think about it, you know, it's half a century, still 63 years shorter than when Hibs last won the Scottish Cup.
I never said that, Robin.
Sorry. I thought you were. Coincidentally, one of my customers was also celebrating his golden wedding, and I was asking him what's the secret of the success of all these years and what you're going to do to celebrate. He explained to me that, yeah, they had plans, and on his very first anniversary, he'd taken his wife to Italy, and now 49 years later, he was going to go back and pick her up. August 28th, 1965, my parents got married. We lived in a police house in Aberdour, and then moved to Temple Hill in Kirkcaldy, lovely area. I was born in 1969, and my little brother Alan came along in 1972. We spent several more years in Kirkcaldy before we moved briefly to Cooper and then to Glenrothes, where we had that newfangled technology called central heating. And it was great. We went on to have a TV that had a remote control, and we didn't have to get up and press the buttons, and we had a video player, and I remember we used Max, the very first video my dad got us to watch with Alien. Yeah, with himself. So there's definitely been a lot of changes in the last 50 years, especially in technology. Despite being in their 70s, they are pretty up to date. You could have knocked me down with a feather when my mum asked for a portable PlayStation a few years ago for Christmas. Yeah, I'll tell you how to feel. She's now got a tablet and she's got a big demon on Candy Crush. We're just stuck on level 26. As for my dad, he just got a new bicycle. And anyone that heard me talking about Mary and Jim's latest acquisitions would think I was talking about my kids, not my pensioner parents.
Have you got stabilisers?
My dad did refuse to get a computer initially. He said they were just a fad. He doesn't have the mobile phone yet. But eventually he caved in. You can still be heard upstairs like it's a keyboard, like it's a typewriter, you know, on the keyboard. My mum was a little bit more of a challenge, although she was open to learning it on the computer. She wouldn't even dust it at first, never mind switch it on. After I emigrated to America, they really had to learn how to use it because some email was much better than picking up the phone every 5 minutes. It did take her a while to master email, and she kept proudly telling me that she'd sent the emails, and I was going, I haven't got it. She's going, no, I sent it. And then it twigged that she sent it, not send mail. She was getting to the end and pressing sent mail instead of send mail. So that's where I got it. Yeah, she can Skype now, so we're doing fine. So, I'm really glad that we've been able to figure out the technology, especially the Skype, because it's made my transition much easier to America. I'm going to cry now. Being away from them has made me realise how much I love them. I don't know how I could have managed to get through sometimes without so anyway. So I would just like to take the opportunity to say thank you to both of you for your wonderful parents. And for all who learned from you. I'm going to do this. Very proud of you.
That's sweet.
I'm not done.
Thank you for the slag out, John.
Mum, you taught me how to make the world's best lentil soup. You did try to teach me to knit and sew. You're still trying to teach me how to knit and sew, but that's not happening. Dad, you taught me geography, which has come in handy with my work. Someone comes extension Howard and Shona and all our decisions, even the dodgy ones. We've always known that you stand behind us, and if all else fails, that we have home to come back to. I don't suppose you ever imagined that you were raising children who would eventually become successful business owners with us, and that we'd be in a position not only to provide a wage for ourselves, but to have the ability to employ others and help put food on their tables. And that's what the skills that you've given to us have enabled us to do that. The advice and support and just having an open ear to our grumblings, I hope that you're as proud of us as your children to be able to have you as our parents. And of course, you also brainwashed and educated us to be nationalists and harsh supporters, and I'm not really sure that we should thank you for that. It's certainly been a roller coaster over the years, but I think better times are ahead for both camps. Above all else, we've learned from you that a wedding is not the end of a romantic love story, it's the beginning of a lifelong commitment. Marriage is hard work, it's a full-time job and your shift never ends. It's not about finding someone to live with, it's about finding someone you can't live without. And I think that's true of you guys. Like every marriage, you've had your ups and downs, but here we are after 50 years, and I think in all honesty that you couldn't manage without each other. There's nothing lovelier for me than when I see you sharing a quick peck or holding hands. Finally, I do have a small gift for each of you, and I think it sums up the secret of your longevity. Mum, you've always said you earned this. And I think the t-shirt says it all.
Well, my speech is a lot shorter, and it's not nearly as suki as Lorraine's. What she said on this, so I'm not going to say on that. So what I thought I'd do is write some things to be thankful for, and maybe some things not to be quite so thankful for at the moment. One of the things is the Wiley genes, obviously, and its ability to grow a decent beard. To go bald when you're 18 as well. As an old table full here, I'm telling you.
Better with somebody inside your head.
Well, that's true. It's not the worst thing to happen to you. But, and the other thing I'm finding when I get older is, when I know I'm going to inherit this, is the thing that any spend any time with Dad nowadays will know that if he's with you somewhere and you disappear, he's probably in the toilet. And Shona tells me this, this has happened with me. So. And I remember going years ago, going on holiday and being in the departure line and going to the toilet 3 times in 15 minutes before we were on the plane. We obviously wanted to run the toilet on the plane. But I'd like to thank them for as Lorraine mentioned, the financial support has been important as well. I was lucky enough to go and be a student, and I got the money to go and be a student, which was really great. Of course, I was supported with starting a business, which was obviously a big thing for us. Thankfully, it's worked out well, and Mum still keeps part of it, more money, but she'll get some of it.
It's my money anyway, only one.
My whole plan is to play it back at such a slow level that eventually she'll go senile, and we'll just do it. It's all being paid back, and she'll believe it. Yes, yes. And of course, lots of other money during the years when we paid that. And I've been thankful for how they've been with the family, and we've got a great family here, and we're all very close. And it's been great parents and great grandparents, but the most important role now, which I really appreciate, is babysitters. And they've obviously welcomed Shona into the family as well. And she gets on really well. She actually speaks 5 times more than me. But of course, they had a few incidents early on because Shona's vegetarian. Mum insisted to give her a haggis pie. This is quite a sore point with her mum. If you ever bring this up, she'll get angry about it. She was sure that haggis pie is a vegetarian. But there was also another incident. Shona will remember with the Wileys. I don't think Jenny remembers because we were talking about this earlier on and she didn't bring it up. Shona realised she was a Wiley, or she was going to become a Wiley. My dad's retiral do Glasgow for the police, and I think it was the first time Shona had really met a lot of the family, I think, other than Mum and Dad and maybe Lorraine. And Auntie Jenny was there, and she met Shona for the first time, and she said, Shona, you smoke, you've got your nose pierced, and you've got your hair dyed, I hope you're a good shag. Jenny doesn't remember it. But I just don't remember it.
Sounds like me.
It does sound like that.
We remember it distinctly. It was a very much welcome to the Wiley's board. Of course, the other thing is,
Apologise now.
I think Shona just got an idea of what she was in for that. She was fun. One of the things I'm thankful for, or maybe not so thankful for, is obviously we've been to football for years. And though it's all quite rosy just now, there's been a lot of kind of cold Tuesday nights up in Aberdeen, or just miserable games sitting in the rain in November, December. Cara goes sometimes now, Neil's been for the first game, but she doesn't like the noise. And when Willie Collum gave his usual penalty against us in the friendly earlier this season, Davy burst into tears. It wasn't because of the penalty, it was just because of the noise. He doesn't like it. I'm thankful for being introduced to the Hills, which I suppose I should be thankful to Jake for, really, that's where it came from. And thankful for Mum for having the patience to let my dad go up to the Hills, which is, I think, one of the reasons that they're still married. Not in the house so often. Moan wife's quite good to letting me go away as well. But it's obviously harder with the kids being younger just now, but she's very patient and she knows, I think my mum would have been the same, that if we don't go every now and then, we get a bit stuff crazy, we need to go and get a bit fresh air. Well, there's a famous quote from John Muir who says, going to the mountains is going home, wilderness is a necessity, and I think that's very true. I'm sure Robin very much agrees with that. Another thing that I was thankful for is my love of travel, and I believe between them they've now been 6 out of 7 continents. Though I don't think they're likely to make it to Antarctica. I think anything Robin's been there. He can only do my home. I don't think obviously they're away in a few weeks, as mentioned earlier, which is not bad for a guy for methyl. You would imagine that all those years ago. Methyl. Is that a posh bit of methyl? Wait a minute. Posher methyl. Though when I was looking back and I was thinking about what to write, I was looking back at some of the places I've been, and I think the first foreign holiday I've ever went on went to Spain. I think the Costa Dorada, I think. And there's lots of photographs where I was told to stand in certain places. And it's only looking back on them that where I'm standing, there just happens to be a topless woman on the beach. And even I, for years, that was anything other than accidental. But that's true, and I'm sure that people who are processing the film in books noticed that. But I've travelled a lot, and again, I'll give you another John Muir quote, which I think is very good. This is, the world's big, and they want to have a good look at it before they get started. And I think that's always been a good attitude, and I've always been one that I would rather spend money travelling than saving up. You know, just to enjoy your life through the car. Not much more. One of the things I'm thankful for is to put up with me and Lorraine as kids, and I know that obviously Lorraine was far more of a nightmare than me. To the stupid teenager and her dodgy boyfriends. And I've heard the stories about Lorraine packing her bags and storming out the house when she was about 10 years old. And Kirkcaldy running out the end of the street and then coming back again. And we used to get away with a lot of things. I think just maybe it's just the 70s and 80s for you. And as Lorraine mentioned, I remember watching Alien and film, and I must have been 7 or 8. And I've realised that Cara tried to get us to watch Jurassic Park the other day, and she managed about 5 minutes, and she was in tears and wanted to go up to bed because she was scared. And I'd watched The Exorcist by the time I was dead, and also The Hammer House of Horror, which is my TV, and I've got a love for horror films now, but I think we used to get away with. And thankfully, Lorraine has this kind of theory that she always says that I was the blue-eyed boy that got away with murder, and there's obviously this older sister kind of attitude. But one of the things I think that probably justifies that, and if you're ever in my mum and dad's house, and you're going up the stairs, just when you look to the right, going up the stairs where it meets the other stairs going up, if you look really carefully, the word Lorraine are scrawled into the woodwork there. And when I was about maybe 8 or 9, I did that. Yes. And then I went downstairs and said Lorraine had done it. she got a bum scare. So I'd like to thank them for their gullibility. And as a little brother, he used to get battered all the time by his big sister. And I was really wee when I was a kid, I'd like to thank them for that. And that's about it really. I'd like to propose a toast to them. And obviously, They've been great parents and great grandparents now, and cheers, Jim and Mary.
Cheers.